All right, so that brings us to our power moment. Last week we had Rebecca Bundy in here breaking down her listing presentation, which was awesome. So now we're going to jump to the other side of the transaction, and we're going to have Jessica Taggart Marron. I've been saying Marron Taggart, so all right. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get it right. So yeah. So welcome, Jessica. She's gonna break down her buyer consultation and make us all smarter. So yeah.
I'm so honored to be here. I love teaching. I don't know, many of you don't know, I taught Spanish and English for many moons in Wyoming before I became an agent. And actually, this week is my 8-year anniversary of being with Keller Williams and the Larkin Group and moving to St. George. And so it gives me like full circle joy to be in front of you. So thank you so much for having me. And you know, the thing that I love about teaching is that I always feel like I walk away with a better desire to be better and things that I can do to just, like I said, be better. So my goal is that all of us will walk out with a maybe just a new insight. And really, I think that even as a new agent, you can teach me so many things. So I'd like to take a little poll. I could do a buyer consult here and just have you watch. I don't think that's particularly exciting or engaging. And I would really rather us have more of a dialogue. I feel like as you're talking and listening and we're all sharing, we are all going to walk out more edified. And also from a time perspective, I don't want to bore you too much or just take too long. So is that all right if we do more of a conversation between us? Okay. I just don't want anyone to go home crying on their big pillow that I didn't do a 2 consult. But I want to talk a little bit first as setting the stage of why a consult is even important. I was hammered, that fact was hammered into me, the importance of having a consult when I was trained. And I'm so thankful for that training. I think we often hear, oh, we know we need to have a consult, but it might be scary or nerve-wracking, or we get a little resistance. And so then we kind of maybe skip it. I will tell you that I had a wonderful agent when I bought here, love her. She didn't offer me a consult. And so when I became an agent, I kind of was like, well, why didn't I get a consult? So even our friends, our family members, we don't want to skip this critical step of the consult for so many reasons. And I will tell you the times that I have done that in the past, more often than not, it's been a really rocky road or it's crashed and burned. And so you're not only setting up your buyers for success when you have that consult, you're setting yourself up for success as well. So what are some feedback or some pushback rather that you get when you're presenting the fact that you need to have a consult, or what are some of your limiting beliefs about having a consult? Just give me a couple.
Funny, it happened yesterday. I'm outside the house. Can't you just meet me here?
Okay, we've all heard something like that.
Yesterday.
What is that? If we just do that right away, what does that message convey and perpetuate to the public?
We're a little slave.
We're minions and glorified door openers that aren't professionals. Do I do that to my dentist? Do I get to do that? Unless my teeth are falling out, I've had a massive, no. So, okay, what else? What are some, maybe some fears, pushbacks we have, Karen?
That you go through properties and find the right property. I know that there are agents who do it. I envy them, that I realize that I have a skill set that's missing to be able to get them to that point.
Okay.
So I end up showing a lot of property.
And I will tell you, I feel like that's actually a conversation I was having in my head. I'm working with someone right now that I'm just like, man, I should start betting how many properties I'm going to be showing them. And I think some of it, I think we need to, yes, we can always improve our skill set. And when we realize, or when we say that we can't, we're in trouble. And I also think that there are just going to be times when that happens, right? And so both can be true, but not to beat ourselves up too much. Jennifer?
I would love a skill of when you find yourself in that little vortex, like how do you have a great little circle back and get everybody focused in? Yeah.
Okay, so we'll address that. And I think all of these things are then really critical to touch on in the consult. And yes, go ahead.
I was saying, a limiting belief, I think, for a lot of agents, why they don't do a buyer consult face to face is they go, time wise, I can just do it just as fast over the phone.
Okay. So I think all of these are very valid. And I think once we really get into our mind about, I am a professional, I am asking to be paid a lot of money. I do not want to skip any steps, and I want to be the most efficient with my time. And ultimately that is all giving, it's all about getting and giving better service, right? I'm a high I, we all should know the disc in Keller Williams, but I am a high I, high S. Like I already have a therapist, but I should go more to figure out boundaries. Like, so if I get a client that is like pushing back, I immediately start feeling panicky. And I think, why? I've been doing this 6 days a week for 8 years. My expertise is far more valuable than what they know from HGTV and Zillow. And if you're a new agent, lean into the experience of the brokerage, lean into the comrades that you're making when you're here at the office. So with that said, I will encourage you always to have the consult at the office. Always, 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 always. Now, I've had one at a Starbucks at 9 o'clock and I did sell a home with them, but it wasn't ideal. And that was in a market that was crazy. We are not in a market that we don't have time to meet. And if you do it on your territory, what is going to be gained from that? Yes, we have a beautiful building. If you can't figure out a time-wise to get in the room here, you can have it at the Larkin Group. We have a beautiful building. There's a sense of, I am a professional. This is where we meet. I am in charge. It is your territory. You introduce them to whomever is at the front. You introduce them. This is so-and-so. If as you're giving them a tour, this is so-and-so. You've probably seen, his signs in the yard. You're showing credibility that you work with professionals, that you are a professional. You're also telling them that you're meeting on your terms. So if you're available all dang day because you have nothing going on, I would say I could meet at 1 or 3 or 2 or 4, which is better for you. Act like you have control of your schedule. Jesse.
So that office thing works, it's true for buyers and sellers. If
Absolutely.
we can get them in the office, it changes their perception and it changes the way they receive the message.
That's very true. So whenever I have someone come, it's inevitable in our market, in our demographic, that they'll come early. That's great. I love them for being early. I typically, if I have an appointment at 10, I make them wait until 10 because I have things scheduled. I might a few minutes early, but I'll say, tell them I'll be there at 10 for our appointment. And I'm wrapping up what I'm doing because again, I am in charge. Those little messages convey that I am the person, the professional. I don't get to go to the doctor's office and say, I actually don't really want to wait in the doctor's office. I need you to see me right now. That's not how they operate. So when we do that, because we're just so giddy to have a client, or we're just so nervous that they're not excited to be there, we are weakening our professionalism. Does that make sense? Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes.
There's actually psychology behind that, where you meet someone in a reception area or whatever, and you might have some board questions or whatever. How was your drive? Where did you eat lunch? Whatever. And then you move from that space into an office or conference room, and that sets the stage even more for a more professional and open conversation about the services that you're doing. And I don't know what the psychology is, but it's a psychological thing for clients.
Yeah.
And that's the best way.
Think about it when you're in those shoes of whatever you're doing. You do feel like, okay, I'm in a professional realm. I'm being taken care of. So we have an understanding in our office. If we see someone that's waiting, have you been taken care of? Can I get you a beverage? We have a fridge full of cold waters and sodas. And I always say, okay, if you don't want anything right now, but you change your mind, let us know. This isn't your only time to grab it. So we want them to feel welcome and taken care of. So I would invite you to do that, even if there are people waiting that aren't your clients. And we thankfully are in a brokerage of abundance. We're not worried about other people talking to our clients. We are all about taking care of each other's people. So have that excitement and warmth for them to feel like I'm in the right place. I'm working with the right agent. Okay. So when I come in, I've got the people. If they're super early, they're waiting, and that's beautiful. They've got a beautiful area to wait in. They've been offered a beverage. And I say, welcome in, so nice to have you. Or, oftentimes I've really connected with one person over the other. So it gives me an opportunity to to meet both people. And with that said, that's one of the reasons. So if I ever get any pushback about having a consult, these are the things that I'll say. I'll say, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page since there's more than one buyer. If they're like, well, why do I need to meet you, right? I'll also say, I want to talk about the market, what I'm seeing, so that when we go to make an offer, we have a great strategy in place. And then I want to talk about your wants and needs. So you need to be able to have it on a Post-it note on your desk if people are resistant to meet. And really just say it in a matter of fact, like, that's just what we do. That's just who I am. That's the kind of agent that I am, that we meet before we go out and show homes. If you can help it, I don't love having a consult and then going out and seeing homes right away. And sometimes it can't be helped, but it can often create this, I mean, they're just excited to get out and do the fun stuff. So if that's the case, give yourself some buffer time. You can even, you know, if they haven't given you homes right up front, I mean, again, there's so many different scenarios that can happen. And so part of the tricky part is really being able to pivot, navigate, and feel like you're doing it smoothly. And the real way that you're going to be able to do that is to have all of the things that you know you need to say practice, so that when you're in the moment, you can say all of those things and pivot accordingly. Does that make sense? But if you can avoid it, try not to go immediately and show those homes, because you've got to set them up. Or if you've already set them up, you can say right away, okay, I'm so excited to get those homes, to show you those homes later today. But we have some things that we're going to go over first. And then we'll go in an hour or in an hour and a half, whatever. Just kind of let them know, because we're just impatient people. We don't want to have to just sit through a class before we go do the fun things, right? I mean, Scott's over here falling asleep on me, so.
Sleep on everybody.
It's cool. I taught school. I'm used to it. The high schoolers like, okay. So,
While you're talking about that, can I ask
yeah,
a
please.
question?
Uh-huh.
So as a newer agent, obviously, and you have multiple repeat customers. Somebody comes back in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later, or even 1 year later.
That's a great question. I would say that, do you still have to have a consult? You know, I think I think it would be wise and best practice. And I will be honest that I haven't always done that. I would say it's probably 50-50. It really depends on their level of experience and how often we're doing transactions together. I mean, I've worked with a client that I did about 10 transactions within the space of 2 years. I wasn't having a consult every time, but I think that's a really good point. And especially, you know, we also need to be aware that people don't, how many times do I have to hear something to really understand it and know it? It is more than once. And I wish, so as we're like, the conflict happens, but we're always educating the buyer. When we're out showing, we're talking about next steps. We're talking about, now remember, we talked about this in the consult, that this and this and this and this. We need to hear things multiple times to really hear it. And especially, this is one of the reasons why I don't love going out immediately after if I can help it, is that they're so bloody excited to go outside and see those homes that they're not really hearing you. And what's hard about being in real estate as opposed to teaching is I can't say, now, Blake, I just explained what's going to happen, and I need you in your own words to tell me what I said so that I know you understood and were listening to me. I don't get to say that. I don't get to say that, right? So how many times do we get frustrated? It's like, well, I told him this. I told her this, and now she's asking me again, or she's doing exactly what she said she wasn't going to do. We all do that. So we're constantly needing to be having the consult in an unofficial way, even though we've already had the consult.
The answer is depends.
Depends, I think.
Well, say you do have to have it. And the reason I say that is because of the new.
Well,
change
and that's
that
fair.
happened a year and a
That's
half
fair.
ago, Where you have to have a buyer broker agreement technically before you go and show them the property.
Yeah, and that's fair. And so to me,
A written agreement, yeah, to show them the property, so that way the relationship's there.
and that's fair.
And with everything that's changed, they don't understand it after 2 years of being able to do whatever they.
Right. And I guess where I'm saying is, okay, every case is very different in the sense that I can say, you know what, since the change last year, in order for us to go see these homes, I'm going to send over our new buyer broker agreement. That's very different in my mind than coming back and saying, okay, now Andrea and Todd, I need you to tell me exactly what you want, right? It's yeah, Jesse.
I think the way to frame this in our own minds is like, you know, the past clients, the second and third. What if it's just a brainstorming session? Hey, let's get together
Yeah.
and really come up with a good game plan for the current market, for the current situation.
Yeah.
For your family, so that we make sure that we're not making these decisions on our heels.
Right. Right.
That's the outcome.
And again, it's
Once-
exactly, it's a level of service, right? And so I would invite you all, I mean, and myself included, to refine this and say, whenever we're meeting with someone past client or not, to just meet and have it be and pivot and cater to exactly that situation, because they are going to be different.
Something.
Yeah, for sure.
Not necessarily.
So, I've already talked about if there's pushback, we should be able to say 3 things of why we do it, and it just and ultimately, if people are unwilling to come meet you, they probably aren't going to be great clients, and it might be the best gift from God that you are actually not working together. It's very hard to come up with that abundance if you're brand new or you're feeling like you need a transaction. So the more that you can come from that attitude of I'm giving great service by doing this, and the universe is going to weed out people that really are going to be a pain in my neck, I'm going to find someone else that's going to be so excited to meet with me, the easier life will be. And that's easier said than done. Okay, so we have all of our paperwork is branded to the Larkin Group and place. And so take the nuggets that you will. I always start with a buyer input form. And I'm sure you all have access to whatever you like and tweak it to how you want. I'd be curious to know things that you love. Now, if I've already spoken to, I've obviously already spoken to one of the people, if there's multiple people on the phone to make the appointment. So I will fill in what I've got. And then I'll say, hey, Brian, I know you and I talked a lot about what you're interested in the home. And you mentioned some things that your wife wants, but because we're all here together for the first time, I just want to go over what I have. And then you can repeat or refine anything that I might have missed. And it's really never surprises me how often someone will be like, well, he thinks it's fine to have a 2-car garage, but I really need a 3-car garage. Well, I didn't get that. I had a 2-car garage, right? So it helps me see. So to me, there's immense value in really having that conversation together. So I also want to make sure I have their birthdays. We celebrate birthdays in a great way at the Larkin Group. So I want to have all of that information. And then these are some of the questions I asked for. Hey, Scott, tell me what's important to you about a realtor. Because I can tell you there have been times where I feel like I am killing it. And I am feel like I'm giving great service and I'm missing the mark for what's important to them. And there are other times where I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing a good job. I think they're going to fire me. I hate they don't like me. And I get up in my disc personality and they're like, you're just so great. We're just so glad we found you. And I'm just like, so if I'm not having that question up front, how can I meet their expectations? So don't be afraid to ask that. Are you still interviewing agents? Why would that be important? Because I'll tell you, a lot of times I'm thinking if I'm already here, I'm golden, right? So it's important to ask those questions and also just kind of be upfront. Like they'll often be, and I've already asked them when I've qualified them before, but we want to make sure. Okay. And then really talk about, tell me your timeline. In a perfect world, you have a home. Do we need to sell it before we can buy it? Now, I've already probably asked almost all of these questions, qualifying them. However, sometimes they aren't fully forthright, or things have changed, so it's important to just go through the steps. Okay, don't skip them. Do you need to sell your current home? Do you need a referral agent there? I'm always amazed at how many people, I just assume they've got it. Like, it's easy to assume, oh, they probably have another agent. And they're like, no, I would love some help with that. Great. I'm going to put you in touch with an amazing agent. And then we have a referral relationship. Okay. Then I say, let's walk through the time frame of when you need to be here and we can back it out. Now, if they're telling me why is that important, I guess? Guys, you guys aren't just pretty faces. Let's hear you chat. Why is that important?
So you really know what is important, number one, if they have a dead stop when they need to be there, It's a critical thing,
For sure. It also really, I want to match their intensity. I met with some amazing people. They're great. They were a referral from a valued SOI in my life. And they're not even entirely sure that St. George is the place for them. But so I met with them for a good 2 hours in a consult. Am I going to go out and show them homes? No. They're not sure that this is a place. I'm not going to boot sellers out of a home and they're not ready to write an offer. If someone's like, I need to be here in 60 days, that changes my intensity. Okay, great. So what I'm hearing is because you're going to be paying with a loan, we need to be writing an offer no later than this date. Is that correct? Why would that be important?
What was it?
Karen?
I think when you get, buyers always get their little, you get that fear factor that pops up, right? And then they're so moved sometimes, and you're like, hey, remember we talked about this being your date, that was so critical. It can just start to keep the ball going.
We want to match our intensity. And here's the other thing. We do this all day long. We know that in our market, you can write an offer and be closed in 30 days with a loan, right? I wouldn't have known that prior to buying a home. I don't talk about those things every day. So we need to help them understand and work back from the timeline. So they're not feeling like we're pushing. Is this something that we want to write an offer on? Or if we're really if they are like, we have got to find something, then we're really eliminating homes that they like. If they say, okay, we've got to find a home this weekend, and they give me 20 homes that they want to see, I'm going to say, I love that you're so excited to see homes, and we really do have a lot of options to look at. However, I know that after 6 homes, you're going to feel like I gave you an Ambien, and you're not going to be able to keep them straight. Let's look at these together and reduce and eliminate the ones that really are not going to be a fit on our initial showing online. That way we're really seeing the top 6 that you like the most. And if after that we still don't find a home that you like, we'll go back to the drawing board. Would that be okay with you? So you're eliminating then seeing a ton of properties, and people don't know. They just think it's going to be easy. I had no clue how exhausting it would be to come look for a home when I started looking at homes. And I was so sure I was going to buy this one home that Sullivan was building that I was like, why do I have to spend 4 days looking for a home? I know what I'm getting. I want this one. And then I go to the subdivision and the 2 lots that are available are hideous, and that's why they're still available. And so they just don't know. And so we need to come from a service where we're really serving them when we have those parameters for them. Did you have your hand up? Someone? Go ahead.
I'll say, the good part about knowing their deadline is because, I don't know about all of you guys, but like Karen, I'm the same way. I show them a bunch. If they would, I try to finite the search going so many, but I know there's certain ones that they still want to see. But I've got buyers that I've dealt with that they're trying to find that perfect unicorn house, even though 2 or 3 of them would work awesome within their criteria.
That's
So they say, well, I don't know. Let's go see this one tomorrow. Let's go see this one next week. And they're going, you don't have the time frame to do
right.
that. So
right. And you can always come back and say, hey, I work for you. Like if you ever feel like you're pushing up, you hired me, I work for you, but I just want to make sure, has anything changed with your timeline that I'm not aware of? Because I also find that some people think they've told me things and they haven't. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes, we forgot to tell you. We actually have 2 more weeks. Okay, great. Perfect. This is amazing. We can go see a few more homes, right? Or whatever. If they're like, no, I said, okay, so you want to make sure, and when you're coming from a service heart, those kinds of questions then shouldn't feel like you're pushy or being annoying, right? Okay, so with that said, then we're going to talk about, again, you've already qualified them. You probably already sent them lender's information. But if you haven't, or you can say, hey, were you able to connect with the lender? I sent you a couple lenders. Were you able to connect with them? Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, again, the barrier of entry to work with professionals, we need to hold them accountable. Great, until we get that lender letter, we actually aren't able to go look at homes. So we need to make sure that we can do that. We get that done before we go look at homes. Okay, great. Well, why? Why would we say why? Why would we give them, what would the answer be? that we wouldn't go. The last thing I want to do is take you into a home that you love, but when we pencil it out from the lending perspective, it's just not going to be something that is within your comfort of your monthly payment. I don't want to do that for you to you, and I certainly don't want to do that to the seller when I'm asking them to leave for us to go see a home. Does that make sense? Again, people don't know what they don't know. They just want what they want. Well, money is like talking about sex and religion. It's not something that we're very comfortable about talking in public, especially within mixed company that we don't know very well. So it's very hard. Like, it can feel weird. Be like, have you met with a lender? Do you know what you can afford? Are you going to pay cash? Like, if you hear yourself you're talking those questions, read the book You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. It is a mind-blowing game changer of a book. But You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. I literally listened to it on repeat one summer 14 times. And I still have a lot of work to do about money. But when we just ask it, I mean, you go to a doctor and they're like, have you been diagnosed with any STDs lately? They're like, or STIs, whatever we're supposed to say now. Like, they just ask, are you a smoker? Do you have any drug use? It's like, nope. They just ask, like they're asking if you have blue eyes or brown eyes. We need to feel comfortable asking those questions. That would have gone viral. I'd be like, that's what got me viral. Okay. So, all right. Okay, so
Sometimes that I'm into is, dealing with, my last two buyers consultants, one guy was 81, the other one was 91. It's like, there is no, there is no buying signals you don't get from them. They're just very like,
well, they could be 41, they could be 21.
Yeah.
That's why having these questions in your back pocket and just asking from curiosity will help you, because especially in a market where it feels like it's harder to put deals together, it's harder to find those clients. And if you're just so excited, you're running around, you're going to run yourself ragged. And if you're not having these conversations up front, you're lacking some professionalism, which you deserve. You're being trained by the very best at Keller Williams. So if you're not exhibiting those things, why wouldn't they go to someone else?
Well, I would also say, Jessica, and what might happen too, is that buyer consultation, you get in there, even though you may not fully get if they're a DIS or C, right?
Sure.
But that consultation, when you get in there and you're asking these questions, you're gonna go, they're definitely not an ass.
Well, no, you're absolutely
You know what I mean?
ascertaining
So that way you
their
know.
personality. Yeah.
That way you go, okay, I can't act this way, I need to act this way so that we connect.
Very much so. How many of you, when you hear the term DISC or DISC, how many of you are like, what? Where are we? No judgment. Okay. You want to Google the DISC profile, and then we should probably have some training about it. You're like, yeah, Jessica, if you came to meetings, you would know that we have the training on the DISC. I don't know. If we're not training about DISC here, we should have a class on it because it's monumental. It is life-changing. So, okay, I've gotten a lot of things now here. I'm going to talk about wants and needs. Now, this is really important to, are you raising your hand? Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't know. Sorry. Okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't ignoring if you were. It's really critical to, there's a great phrase, tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? What would that do for you? Those three phrases are going to bring you so much clarity, not only in your real estate life, in your relationships. Just tell me more about that. That's a great, also when you're on the phone and someone is giving you some objection, you can say, tell me more about that. While you're trying to buy some time to think about something, but tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? What would that do for you? People, again, don't know what they don't know. If they're relocating and not familiar with our market, if I'm not asking those kinds of questions, I might be missing out on the most amazing matching pairings of a house or a builder or a subdivision if I'm not asking the right questions. If you're coming from California or the East Coast and you have vitriolic HOA trauma, and you say, I will not move into anything with an HOA ever again in St. George, are they going to have an expansive selection to choose from? No. So I can say, tell me more about that. Why is not having an HOA important to you? The reason why I want to ask is because we have a lot of areas that will have a very minimal HOA in our community. And I would hate to eliminate a great home that might have a $15 a month fee just to maintain the flower bed as you drive into the subdivision. Oh, well, I guess in that case, I could be open to an HOA. Okay, great. Sorry, I cut you off. Were you gonna steal your thunder?
No, I'd like to ask, what their top three things are, right? So people will tell you, oh, I want, open floor plan, or I want a 3-car garage, but people buy their why, right? And that's kind of what you're getting at, is if you can find out why they want those things, and then, for example, somebody might want to live on a golf course, but 75% of people that live on a golf course don't golf. So why do they live there? They like the feeling of open space. They like, maybe not, they just like that open feel or whatever. You can get that, somewhere besides a golf course. You don't have to live on a golf course for that. So if you understand why, then it's going to help you.
Yep. And really sussing out, not sus as in suspect, but sussing out, like figuring out, is if we're not asking those questions, then we're just a glorified door opener, right? We're an order taker, and that's not who we are. Okay. So yes. So then we have the people, and we really can say, okay, now is this a want? Is this a need? Walk me through. And again, husbands and wives, or husbands and husbands, wives and wives are going to be not always on the same page. I love my husband so much, and it's comical to hear our wants and needs of a house, right? So really watching that dynamic, watching who the driver is in the relationship, the decision maker. You always want to make sure that you're keeping everyone involved. It can be very easy if you have a strong driver in the relationship to be just the communication happening there. Make sure your body language is keeping both of them involved. Put them on a group text. I put my clients on a group text, and I label it like Team Taggart, so that I know I'm texting them both together, so that they both feel included. Those little things help them feel like you're hearing both of them, especially if there's a big discrepancy in the
tendency to speed up right there when we should be really slowing down to getting the wants and needs, because that's probably where it's getting missed, is what are truly the needs, truly the wants, and setting it up front. Okay, so if we see a house that has 4 out of 5, man, that's a superstar.
That's perfect. So you're leading me to my next. In this market, especially when there's an abundance of options, it will be very easy for people to dismiss a home that checks 4 of the 5 boxes. So for us to set that up, and how you do it will depend on their disc style, of course. But hey, Jesse, I'm so excited to show all these homes to you and Leah. And I know that because we have a lot of properties on the market, it will be really natural for you to want to make sure we're not missing any of them. And so if I ever push back and ask questions like, hey, you mentioned that you need X and this home doesn't have it, just know that I'm wanting to make sure we're not taking up time that's valuable for you. Or if anything's changed, that I'm keyed in on it. Is that fair? So again, it's not like, oh, great, I have to go show a home that I know they're not going to like, and I'm so annoyed, right? We all can come. I mean, I would be lying if I never felt that way. So if we're not coming from, I want to make sure I'm really on the same page with you to give you the best level of service. Did something change? Because last week you said you hated this floor plan, and now this home has that floor plan. Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, let's scratch it off the list. Thank you. See how that's a level of service? So warn them. Say, hey, if I ever push back, that's why. Also, a lot of times clients can't look past a paint color. And there's no shame in that. Other people have great vision. They're knocking down walls and rearranging the, house. And I don't have that total ability. But so when you're showing them, or as you're preparing them, hey, there's going to be times that a home has 4 of the 5 wants and needs that you have. And sometimes it's just a matter of changing the paint color. Know that I have an entire list of vendors that I can put you in touch with if we need to change something as minimal as a paint color, because it would be silly not to purchase a home that checks so many of your boxes simply because you don't like the color of the dining room. Wouldn't you agree? What have I just done there?
Giving them permission to look past it.
I've given them an embedded command that they are not going to be silly and look past a paint color on a home that would be perfect for them. And remember, I have a whole list of vendors. I can get you in touch with 3 painters. And I'm shaking my head. That would be so silly for us to do something like that. Wouldn't you agree? I'm a gold star student gal. I don't want to irritate my realtor. I don't want to be silly, right? So having that language to really show them who's in charge helps them be like, oh yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either. Did someone have a question? Oh yeah.
Well, I like this idea of an embedded command, right? And one of the things you can do in the buyer presentation when you're first meeting them is, you go over the process, right? When you're going through the process and you talk about the perfect house, the perfect location, the perfect price, that cream puff house, the best time to give somebody permission to buy a house on the first trip out is in that presentation, right? So you tell them, when we find this house, you'll know it when you see it.
Mhm.
And even if we find something that's like 85% of what you want, I strongly encourage you to think about just
Presenting an offer.
consider it.
Yeah.
Because it's better to do that in your first appointment than when you're out showing a house, because now it sounds pushy and salesy, and you don't want to do it then. But if you, and I'll go through that list with them, and I'll talk about the process, keep your top rolling 3 or 6 or whatever it is. And then I tell them, what percentage of my clients actually select the house on the first trip out? 50%.
Mhm.
And of the other 50%, 80% of those pick something on the second time out.
Mhm.
So I'm giving them permission,
Mhm.
this hidden command, I'm giving them permission to actually make a decision on the first trip out and buy a house.
And thank you. And that's absolutely like, people will be like, I bet you never have someone that gets a house right away. And it's like, actually, I do, because I've helped them cull the list to their top. And I think it's great to say permission. You'll really sense this is great if you're working with someone that's timeline is very flexible. Like they could buy tomorrow, they're in a rental, but they could buy in 6 months, or they live here. That pressure for them is a little bit, diminished. So you can say, hey, because you're really the one that's going to feel it, I ask all my local buyers to do a drive-by smell test before we actually go into the property, because online it can look amazing, but if you drive by the neighborhood and you hate it, we don't need to spend your time going in on the property. So will you commit to driving by before you let me know you want to go see a home to make sure that the neighborhood passed the smell test? Sure, great. Because how many times have you gotten?
They love having fun.
And we are built to kind of like check boxes. That's inherent. So to be like, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it right. That the compliance, that feels good for us for sure. So, but having them do that before when they're local will really diminish a lot of home improvements. Okay, so at this point, I'm talking to them about how they're lending, how they're going to pay for it, right? And I have amazing relationships with fabulous lenders that probably do as well. So we want to give them choices. Hey, here are some lenders. I know I've already sent you this information and you weren't unfortunately able to connect. I know you'll connect with them immediately. But, and typically I will give them 2 or 3 options. Obviously we need to do that. But based on personality, I kind of feel like you actually will be a better fit with so-and-so. So I'm going to have him reach out to you directly. Here are the other 2 numbers that if you want to reach out and get some information and compare, they're going to be great. All of them are going to give you amazing service, and they're all very comparable and comparable with their rates. It's just really a matter of personality, because this actually is kind of like a financial colonoscopy, and you want to make sure that you are meeting with someone that you feel comfortable with. So I give them that information. Okay. So this is obviously for our office, but I would really encourage you. I talk about how we have a whole team. So one of the beautiful things about working with me is that if I'm sick or out of the office with other clients, or heaven forbid on vacation, you need something, you've got a whole team of people that will take great care of you. First and foremost is Taylor. She's my transaction coordinator and admin, and We love her, and her emails are just as important, if not more so than what emails that come from me. I set them up to know that I may not be available for them every time. Because we all want to feel like we're the only client. But do we really want to work with an agent that only has one client? No. So I would encourage you to have someone in the office that you have an understanding with. Hey, when I'm on vacation, let's set this up where you're my showing partner. I'll pay you this, or we'll get it sorted out depending on how many homes you show. Figure out how you want your business to look like so you have some freedom to not always feel like you cannot be, to feel like you're tethered to the phone. I've, lost money by going on vacation. However, I've been able to go on vacation and have someone take great care of clients and still make money. So figure out how you can have that conversation, and then I would put it in your consult. I promise you that your service level will not be diminished if I'm on a trip. Okay. Jesse, do you have a question? I know I'm running out of time, and I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying as a single agent, you need to figure out, you put someone else in that picture.
This is our
Yep.
account.
Yep.
All of a sudden changed.
Well, it's coming from abundance of I have resources, and you're working with someone that has resources, right? So as a solo agent, you should have that relationship with someone and figure out what it looks like. It kind of depends for me. I mean, my office, I was so lucky to have an amazing 10-year anniversary in Europe a few years ago, and I was gone for 3 weeks, and I made I knew an agent that would take great care of my clients, and so we split it 50-50, and then he happened to be on a trip later, and I took care of his clients, and we had the agreement that at closing, that lead that was his client, right? For him to nurture and get referrals, and mine was mine. Like, you work out those details, but have that relationship figured out. Okay, this is something I love. I feel so proud about. We have a service branch in our arm of our corporation at the Larkin Group. And I tell people that every time you work with me and hire me to be your agent, I feed a family on your behalf in St. George during Thanksgiving. So I would encourage you, we've actually talked about it in the ALC, of having something where you can donate at closing, and say, whether it's for Keller Williams, or if there's a cause that's very important to you. I think there's a reason why Tom's Shoes and Warby Parker, all of those companies have done amazing things, because people like to feel like they're contributing to society when they're consuming something. So if you can think of something that is important to you, you will earn some respect there. Okay, I know I'm taking forever. I'm almost finished. Sorry. Okay, we talk about Emerald Pest Control. We provide a free service. I worked at Clinique when I was in college, the makeup counter at Nordstrom. Man, women love free shit. I can't even tell you how much people go crazy for a free lipstick. When we feel like we're getting something free, it's just, there's a euphoria in there. So if you can find a relationship with something, or a discount code to something that you love in town, or a service, put that in your packet. So we provide a free pest control visit for them. There's no obligation to use him afterwards. He's amazing, however. But if you can give some level of service like that, or an experience, your people will really love that. Okay, we include utilities. I always laugh because I always say, okay, Scott, here are the utilities for the area. When we close on a property, we'll tell you which utility companies are, relevant to the property you're closing on. But sometimes people like to know about utility rates, and they just like to have this information. Or if for whatever reason you can't find your email, and you have this in this packet as well. Okay, I don't take too much time about this. What kills me is when people want to know, well, what's the utilities in for this house? And I'm like, well, this house has been used as a second home with 2 people. You've got a family of 6 that are going to live here year round. That might be a little bit different, but some people just want that information. And so you can say, great, that number is in your packet. Okay, so we are almost finished. One of the other things we also talk about is the home warranty. We used to buy it for our clients if the seller was not going to pay for it. And then we decided we don't need to do that. So I now have changed my verbiage. I'm always going to ask the seller to pay for it for you. If they are unwilling or unable to do so, I highly encourage you to invest in the home warranty. So you can have that peace of mind that if something comes back on the report that needs a little bit of work, you've got that home warranty. So you, but here's this, I didn't even get to the buyer quote, the really important documents. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry, Dina. I don't know why I said Dina. I don't either, like she's the principal. I'm sorry, what? Thank you, Dina. All right. This is obviously ours, it's branded to place, but there's some really powerful things in here. I think if you're someone that's bought your 15 homes, it's going to be a different conversation than someone that's never purchased for the first time, right? And that's why it's really important to understand and know your information so that you can cater it to that person. Now, I'm also going to say, Scott, I know you purchased a home before. This isn't your first rodeo. However, it's been a few years and policies have changed, and you're buying in Utah. You've never purchased a home in Utah, and every state is a little bit different. So I'm just going to go over a few highlights so that you are aware of all of the things that are important in Utah. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, because is it going to be really irritating if someone's like, yeah, I know what the process of buying a home. However, unless I'm telling them, I don't know that they know it, right? So this goes on and talks about the importance of home ownership and the value. The discrepancy between people that own homes and that rent is almost in their net worth is almost different of $250,000. So I would couch that conversation very differently to a first-time home buyer. I would say, this is amazing. Brian, I am so excited to be part of the process of you being a first-time home buyer, because did you know that people that buy a home, eventually their net worth can be different up to $250,000 to someone who never buys a home? That's amazing. Just by paying your own mortgage instead of someone else's. That's going to be a very different conversation. Of, Scott, I know you're an investor and this is how you're funding your retirement. Thank you so much for helping me help you build wealth. It's a privilege to be part of that with you. Okay, so know your audience. Okay, we're going to talk about this later as we go write an offer, but just know that when we go write an offer, that we're going to look at what's pending. I'm going to call the agents and see what information I can get from them. We're going to look at what's on the market, and we're going to look at what's closed, so that we're really offering a price on your home that is competitive, so that we really know that you're not going to be overpaying for the property. So we'll talk about that as we continue, but just know that we're going to do homework and make sure that you're getting the best terms available. See how I'm setting that up? I'm like, okay, I'm taking care of them. If they have questions, I'm letting them know that I'm going to hold their hand and that we're going to strategize it so that they're getting the best value. So with that said, we didn't go over the documents. I feel like I've already gone over it, so I'm nervous. So I guess what I'll say is this. I would encourage us all, myself included, to read these over and over and over and over. You don't have to go. If someone's a high C, they're going to want to go over it. If you can tell that someone's a high C in the disc, hey, I'm going to send over some paperwork. You do not need to sign anything right now, just in case you want to read it before we meet. That might be a great service level. It will be. Someone that's a high I, just tell me where to sign. I might be signing with my life and my right kidney. I don't care. Just sign some. I don't want to look at it. That's me. It's not my best quality. But knowing the personality and really catering your service to them is going to be helpful. Now, there are things obviously you can't skip, but the more you know these documents, the better verbiage you can have to explain it to them when they have questions. And then you're protecting yourself and you're protecting them. So especially since they're newer, make a goal to read it 5 times, 1 day a week, or 1 day every day for a week. Quiz each other on it. The more we can know our paperwork, the more we can know our presentation, the better we can change it according to the people that we're serving. And I know that when we do that, that is when we're in our sweet spot of like really being the best agent that we can be. And that's where it's fun. And so when we're not kind of aligning ourselves with, not to get all woo-woo, but like when we're not aligning our level of service and our abilities with who we really are, and that's where it feels hardest for me, at least. And that's not where I want to be, like feeling like I'm on fire when I'm working with my clients. So thank you so much for your time and your input. And I'm just thrilled to be in business with you guys. And if you have questions or if you want to get together and do some sort of practices, I'm happy to facilitate that in our office. So let me know. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to, did I say, we always have a little gift for them when they come.
You should have Brian.
No, can I have?
Lemon, how you say it?
I couldn't say, I was laughing so hard because I'd never seen it before in the first one, and it just cracked me up, and I was laughing in front of them, they were all.
So wait, you gotta get the guy's, his first client is a doctor, right? And he comes in and presents this, and he's like. What's the easy peasy lemon squeeze?
They bought $1 million
Oh, they
house.
laughed so hard. It was the greatest thing ever. It was funny. I couldn't get enough. It was too good. I'm fast, you know that. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Is it hot in here to you guys or just me? Because I was teaching. It's hot. Okay. I'm like, am I having a hot flash? I don't know. That-
I don't know if you guys have seen that weekly newsletter that's being emailed out for me with a little video. I would encourage you to, another one of the Board of Governors this week has set out that they want 50% cut coming next. This is a great time to get ahead of your clients. If you're talking to them, they're waiting for mortgage rates, their mortgages will adjust your rate, and that, if you cut it to half, you're gonna have a flood of people all of a sudden say, I want to be in the market, they're gonna be looking, and that's gonna be too late. Your clients that you've got right now, it's a great conversation, get out in front of them, talk to them, let them know, hey, if these rates come, and there's a big rumor, just, kind of rumor mill amongst mortgage people is that Powell's out. He's gonna announce his resignation in September. He's getting just hammered.
Meaning, just to translate, in the sense that buyers right now have incredible negotiating power that they have not had in years. And if you're waiting for rates to change, you will lose that buyer negotiation. So even though rates are higher, we have abilities to negotiate things that you will not get if and when that happens.
They can hit both. They can go ahead and negotiate, a rate buy down. They can go ahead and negotiate cut closing costs, all that right now. Literally that pass point and how setting down market changes like that, all of a sudden all those negotiating points come. So if nothing else, I'm a big proponent. The more conversations you're having with the clients, the better off you are. That's an easy conversation to start. Hey, this is what we're seeing. It's starting to gather some steam. Let's get you ahead of it. Let's be out there right now making negotiations, getting you ahead of the market.
So basically, it could quickly flip to itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, if Powell steps down, which is, right now they're saying it's about a 70% chance he's stepping down. If Powell steps down and they do a 50-point cut, which right now there's two other governors that are saying that the board governors that are saying that they want a 50-point cut.
What does that mean in real words?
Uh,
One more thing, while you guys discuss this, which is great, I just want you all to know this provided lunch is out there, if those of you want to. get
Thank
up.
you. That was awesome.
Bye.
Oh, I'll take your microphone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
So you're going to see.
Living dream?
Is that it's strange, that it's settled, right there. And all of a sudden, they,
Oh, yeah.
but most people don't, they don't understand what that is. All they have is the FedEx.
Yeah, when you can get out of that thing, man.
That's the rate, and that's, it's just